Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode in the Without Us series from your friends and ours, Relative Insight. Today, we're going to be focusing on the beguiling and interesting issue of data warehousing. Our theory, our positioning is that your data warehousing technology is acting just simply as a library without Relative Insight. Let's dive into why. First things first, I'm James Cuthbertson, Chief Revenue Officer at Relative Insight. You may have been following along with the series of webinars. I hope you have, but if not, jump back and look at the ones we've already recorded. They're very interesting. Before we dive into the issue of data warehousing, generally, I want to talk about Relative Insight just for a few moments. So the stunning schematic that you're looking at the moment will give you a very quick overview of what it is that we do and how we do it. Think about all of the data sources that are coming from your customers on the left-hand side. So where the rubber meets the road, you're collecting all of this amazing data from your customers through reviews and case management tools like Zendesk and ServiceNow, voice of the customer surveys in things like Medallia and Qualtrics, your contact center, be it Amazon Connect or NICE or Verint or Genesis, it truly doesn't matter. You're generating amazing amounts of really rich, unstructured data from your customers. And what we do is we bring that data into Relative Insight in an automated fashion. Think about that being daily or weekly or even monthly. And what we do is we use our comparative technology in order to help you understand what's changing and therefore what in that customer data is driving your KPIs up or down. KPIs like CSAT or churn, sales, OSAT, NPS, whatever it is that you're measuring and reporting on. And then getting onto that, over on the right-hand side, we can then do some cool things with that, with those insights. The first is that we can push them into existing visualization tools. Think Power BI or Tableau. We can enrich data warehousing technology, which we're going to focus on a little bit today. We can produce automatic email reporting that can spread far and wide throughout your enterprise, meaning that all of those insights leave the CX organization and get out into operational stakeholders and make an impact. And then the final thing is that we can intersect with all of your next best action and automation capabilities through tools like Exponent, Pegasystems, Braze, etc., to mean that we can take the humans out of the loop and start to bring those insights into a closed loop system and create real action in real time. So let's get on to why that is all a decent idea. You may be thinking, yeah, that sounds a little bit familiar. That's something that tracks with what I'm doing. You've spent a lot of time, effort, and money in building this system. What we're looking to do is not rip that out, not change it at all, in fact, but rather just optimize. So the first thing that we do is by bringing Relative Insight in, you're able to very efficiently automate the reporting that is time-consuming and very human-centric, probably error-prone. Is probably the last thing that you want to be doing with your days and spending a great deal of time producing the same quarterly report, same monthly report, same exec summary for the week, whatever it is that you're doing. So we're able to speed that up, make it consistent, remove errors, and ultimately drive efficacy. What I mean by that is people looking at it, people understanding it and taking action. With that in mind, we then start to see that because your leaders are receiving these punchy insight reports every week, every month, then what happens is that they start to make incremental improvements across your business. And what that means is your business improves operationally and your KPIs start going in the right direction. CSAT, OSAT, NPS, churn, whatever it is you're looking at. And then the final thing, ultimately, that then drives top level results that hit the bottom line, financial impact, reduce churn, take more revenue, etc. And this is kind of how we build up value at Relative Insight. Let's talk about data warehousing in more detail, because that's today's focus. So the chances are, if you are a large enterprise with lots of customers and lots of customer data, you're probably already using the likes of Snowflake or Google BigQuery or Amazon Redshift to store all of that data. And no doubt it'll be stored beautifully, indexed wonderfully. The question that we have at Relative is, why do that if you can't then benefit from it? And you're probably thinking, well, it's to do with compliance. And of course, we need to store customer data. Agreed. But wouldn't it be sensible then to start to take that customer data and be able to squeeze more value out of it? And so I mentioned in the schematic that we can enrich warehousing tools we'll get onto that in a second. But what we can also do is we can take all of this data out of the likes of Snowflake and produce automatic reporting on it. So that not only are you indexing and organizing and storing all of your customer data very beautifully and very dutifully, we're also able to help you start to derive real value from it by using it as an asset and starting to report on it. And we just think that's an obvious idea, and it's really a quick and easy win, because you've already gone through all of the hard work of storing that data. So by uploading this customer data into Relative Insight, we can unlock all those valuable pieces of information and intelligence with no extra effort, without any analyst time, and without changing anything about your data warehousing tool or warehousing process. So that's the first one. The second easy win from our point of view is that, yes, you've got rows and rows and rows and rows of customer data. So, for example, James Cuthbertson lives in X town, has been a customer for Y years, is on Z plan, spending this much money. You know all of that information, right? Because that's neatly stored away. However, wouldn't it be amazing to then be able to bring in the texture of what I've also been saying, as well as what I've been doing? So allowing you to bring that context. So for example, all this information about me, that's all been stored away beautifully. And then wouldn't it be great for me for you to be able to know that in my last 3 customer interactions, I've either had an extremely marvelous time, or I've also had a really tricky time. And you not only know the sentiment of that, but you know what topics were discussed, what themes emerged from my discussion. And so you're able to mix that, what am I doing, with how am I behaving, or what am I saying, and bringing those two things together will allow you to tailor your interactions with your customers in a much more meaningful way. And so you can enrich your targeting, so customers will receive more tailored messages at more appropriate times, meaning that you're going to improve your conversion. So let's talk about a real case study that a customer that we've been working for a while with. It's an airline in the States. And so you can see that we've got a very simple schematic over on the right-hand side, all the standard data that you would expect coming from their voice of the customer program, coming into Relative Insight, and then being pushed into their data warehousing tool indicated by the exclamation mark. As well as the decisioning and other reporting that we're doing, I want to focus on the data warehousing element of this program of work. What we're able to do is, by taking this data on a daily basis, we can look at a customer over a period of a 4-week rolling window, as well as reporting on, how is people's booking experiences, how's people in-flight experience, how's people's airport experience, which is all very important to improving the customer experience and delighting customers. What we can also do is we can now append customer information with their CX experience and the themes. And so this has led to one crucial outcome. If someone in this airline travels, is a loyalty member, so they're a signed up loyalty member, and they travel over once a month for a certain number of months, in this case it's 6, then if that number then drops down, then they are served comms to say, hey, book a flight, or, we miss you, kind of thing. What we've been able to do is firstly identify that if someone's had a terrible experience in their recent journeys, then if you then send them sales comms, it is highly likely to frustrate them a great deal. And conversion was extremely low on those campaigns, because it was a generic, triggered by behavior piece of content. Now, what we've been able to do by appending customer interactions to flight behavior, basically how many times you've traveled, what we can do is we can start to remove or suppress the content that's going to people that have had a bad experience, and that's shown up in the contact center or shown up in the chatbot on the app. And so that means that, for example, if the last time I flew with the airline, I had a very bad experience, I was on there because of delays or because of changing my tickets, and it was a bad experience, I am now going to not be served a sales message in that next following 4-week window. And guess what? Although they've been sending fewer pieces of content to a smaller, more tailored audience, conversion rate is significantly up, which is extremely pleasing for this customer, because it's costing them less money to send the messages in the first place. It's restoring customer sentiment generally, because you're not trying to sell to annoyed people. You're trying to like fix what you did wrong. And then finally, the few people that you are sending a sales message to, it's timely, it's appropriate, they're happy with you, they convert. So thank you very much for listening today. I've really enjoyed taking you through that. Please do jump in and have a look at the other webinars. If you're a CX specialist, a CX guru, moving the pieces around in your world, then I'm sure you'll find them interesting. And get in touch with Relative Insight and myself if you'd like to talk more. Thanks.